So you guys asked for it, and here it is. My birth story. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a real honest sit down about my pregnancy journey and my birth story. And let me say, this pregnancy was a ride. I found out I was pregnant and ended up relocating with a whole human being in my belly. I then had one of the sweetest surprises at my baby shower, and friends dragged me out in my very antisocial era. And then the birth, no labor, not even a contraction. It was definitely not what I pictured, but then it's my story and I'm ready to share it with you guys. So if you're into real talk, chill vibes, and hearing what it's actually like to go through pregnancy while life is lifing, grab a drink, get comfy, and let's get into it. So I have my phone here because I have a few pointers that I want to use to guide me through this storytelling. Let's go. So it was the month of September 2023 when I decided to take a pregnancy test, and it turned out positive. I was so excited because it wasn't like a planned pregnancy, but it's not like we were waiting, life was just happening, I guess. And that day I remember when I found out and told my husband, the first thing that came to my head was, oh my god, I had this strenuous workout the day before. I think I had like full body workout the day before, so I was a bit concerned that, God, hope I did not go and overdo myself by, because just a typical fear of stressing your body while you're still very early in pregnancy. But I was very excited. My husband was very excited when we found out we were pregnant. Then the next thing we did was to call the hospital, because we didn't know what to do. We didn't know what the procedures were. So we called the hospital, and then they did some calculation for, I think, 6 weeks. I think it was like maybe 6 weeks or 9 weeks when you're actually like 6 weeks or 9 weeks pregnant. And then they booked an appointment for us to come in to actually check if I was really pregnant and it wasn't like a false positive or something. So yeah, I was pregnant. The test confirmed it. The pregnancy test confirmed it. The hospital confirmed it. And for me, it was after the hospital confirmed it that I started feeling the pregnancy symptoms. I don't know if that's normal. Before I had the test at the hospital, my body was still very normal. But after the test, it was like, oh, I started feeling symptoms. Well, let's talk about the symptoms. I don't think I had a lot of symptoms. In my first trimester, I remember I used to be really tired. I used to be tired a lot. I think, I couldn't eat. Protein was very weird for me. I think I couldn't eat meat. Yeah, I started getting really disgusted by turkey, chicken, beef. So for me, it was just fish that first trimester. I didn't throw up. I didn't really used to feel nauseous. Oh my god, the fridge always smelled awful. It was definitely just the pregnancy. Obviously my fridge wasn't dirty. But yeah, it was awful opening the fridge. Thank God for my husband, because I think I cooked less then, because everything was just really disgusting to me. Yeah, that was pretty much it for my first trimester. So in my second trimester, the symptoms kind of eased up. I was able to eat beef with fish, and I'm not really a beef person, but at least that was something I could just try to switch up my proteins, which was good. I wasn't still feeling nauseous. I didn't throw up a lot. I think in the entire pregnancy journey I threw up maybe just 7 times. That's for the entire 10 months, because I think, guys, pregnancy is actually 10 months. So for the entire 10 months, I think I threw up just 7 times. And most times it was while brushing my teeth. Oh yes, while brushing my teeth. That was awful. Brushing my tongue, I always feel like throwing up. So I'll just be I was always so careful while brushing my teeth, so I didn't have to experience that. Oh yeah, in my first trimester, I remember then I was preparing for a certification exam. It was the hardest thing ever. And I'm like, oh god, I just sat up one day and I'm like, I think I should just write this exam while I'm still strong enough. I had been preparing already. So I remember just booking the exam I think 2 days later, and then taking it. I think that I passed in flying colors. So yeah, that was for that. In my second trimester, yeah, I had more energy actually compared to the first trimester. There was this boosted energy. I was able to move around. I think my body kind of adjusted better my bum started coming out, started showing in my second trimester, which was good. In my third trimester, God, I was very lazy. I was sleeping. Working then was so hard. Like I'll walk, take a break, take a nap. I remember after telling my team lead back then that, oh, I was pregnant and all, he was so nice about it, said anything I needed, I should let him know. If work was stressful, I could just take a break. If I needed it, I should just take a break and all of that. So yeah, he was very helpful. I'll take a break, take a nap, eat, and then get back to work. So that was it for my second trimester. I didn't have a lot of symptoms, honestly. It was just, not being able to eat some things and not being able to eat a lot of things, being very weak, lazy, sleepy, and so I'm not a rice person. I typically won't eat rice, which is, I know it's weird for a Nigerian to say that, but I'm not a rice person. I'm not a fan of eating rice. But during my pregnancy, I think I ate all the rice that I have not eaten in my entire life. I ate rice. I loved rice. It was so weird. Like I felt like, okay, maybe after pregnancy I'll be able to get back to eating rice. But yeah, my system adjusted back to not liking rice. But yeah, I tried rice. I didn't want to try a lot of new meals as well. I didn't want to try a lot of things because I didn't want to put myself in a position where I would actually be trained up. So yeah, I didn't particularly have any craving, like any specific craving. Like I wasn't craving palm oil. I wasn't craving ice. Although I did drink a lot of cold water while pregnant. Normal water it had a taste in my mouth for me, so I had to take it cold. And my pregnancy was during winter. At least the peak of my pregnancy was during winter, so it was not really a good idea to be drinking very cold water in the winter. But I just couldn't help it. That was the only way I could like take in water. Did I have emotional ups and downs? I don't think so. I like to think of myself as a very grounded person. I'm very emotional, don't get me wrong, but I don't think I experienced any serious up and down, any mood swings per se. Well, I was the one pregnant. Maybe my husband will have a different thing to say about that. I remember telling my friends. I think the first person I told when I found out I was pregnant, after my husband, of course, was my mom, and she was very excited. I had to hold up to like after the hospital test, because I didn't want to, give false positive news. So I remember waiting to tell me. We just got out of the hospital. They confirmed I was pregnant in the car. I called my mom. She was so happy. She didn't pick at first, but when she picked, she was so happy. She was rolling and, just very excited about it. Then I remember calling my sisters. I wanted to call them together, so I didn't have to like give information separately. But my older sister picked first. Then my younger sister joined. I told my older sister. Then my younger sister eventually joined the call. I showed her like the ultrasound, and that girl knew nothing. That girl did not have an idea what that was. So I had to say, "Oh, guy, I'm pregnant," and all. She was like, "Oh my god, are you serious?" And everybody was just very excited. I remember telling my friends. Most of them were excited. Some of them yapped me that, "Guy, you just got married. So why are you already pregnant?" But life happens, I guess. Okay, so it was. I remember then we already applied for our Canadian PR, and we were just waiting for news. And I think it was September, October. It was my first trimester that we got news about like our PR being approved. So God, I remember being so excited that day. I was filled with so much emotions. I remember just walking outside, and I didn't even know, like it was like I was going to burst that day. But I'm like, Timmy, you need to calm down. You're pregnant. It's still early in pregnancy. Don't overdo it. So I had to kind of suppress my emotions. Not suppress my emotions. I think the way I released like what was inside of me was by just crying, taking a walk and crying. It was a wonderful day. It was good news, of course. So if you do not know, I moved from Estonia to Canada. It was something my husband and I already planned, and it just happened in the right time. So then having to travel while being pregnant, so we traveled down in early February, which makes it about, so I was in my second trimester when I traveled down to Canada. The journey was really stressful, guys. It was, the airline stressed us, but that's story for another day. Maybe when I'm talking about my relocation journey, then You can hear that just so traveling down here, we had to make arrangements to, travel while it was still safe, because some airlines will require you to have like a document certifying that you're safe to travel while pregnant. So we just calculated. I think the safe time was within. I think I was 26 weeks thereabout when we traveled. It was a safe period anyway, and then it was. I remember getting on the plane after they had stressed us. I remember getting on the plane, and the woman I sat beside, I wore this two-piece of a big sweater and like joggers, just because I wanted to be very comfortable on the plane. And I got on the plane, and the woman, it was this very nice, kind Indian woman beside me. After we took off, she just looks at me and she's like, "Sis, oh my God, you're pregnant, right?" In my head, I'm like, what if I just have big stomach? And mind you, my belly wasn't like very big at that point in time. And she's like, "Oh, she can tell, she has had the experience, that she can see it on my face, that I shouldn't worry. If I need anything, I should let her know." My husband had not gotten to the seat yet. So I'm like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm traveling with my husband." She's like, "Oh, that's even better. It makes it easier for me to travel and stuff like that." She was very nice. Every time on the plane, she'll look at me, "Do you need water? That if you need anything, just call them, they'll attend to you." And I'm like, "Thank you, ma'am." Well, I think for the flight, I slept almost all through. We booked the seat close to the restroom, so it was easier for me to use the restroom whenever I needed to. But funny enough, I didn't use the restroom a lot. But it was a very smooth journey. I slept all through basically. A friend of mine had made us like snacks. So I took snacks on the plane, when I was extra hungry, aside when they gave us something to eat. Then when we had our layover, I think our layover wasn't too long. Maybe it was like 3 hours thereabout or less. I think it was like 3 hours anyway. So, 3 hours went by fast, having to go from one gate to the other gate, especially since you're traveling outside of Europe. So time really went by fast. I didn't feel the stress of the trip, even after we got into Canada. So the journey wasn't bad. It wasn't stressful. And for the packing, while we were packing from Estonia, it wasn't stressful because I enjoy packing. I enjoy preparing for trips. We were traveling in February. I had already started packing in December because I wanted to make sure, like, it's also relocation. So I didn't want to forget important things. I needed to get rid of some things, give some things away. So having to do these things like earlier just gave me time to not have to be. It just made me to be more prepared. I didn't have to rush. I think the most emotional part of my pregnancy would be at the final weeks. We'll talk about that too when we get there. So the good thing, when I was pregnant, I remember I spoke to my sisters a lot. I spoke to my mom, I spoke to friends. My husband was really there for me, making sure that I got all the help I needed, just to make sure I wasn't stressed in any way. And whenever I needed to cry, I didn't really cry during pregnancy. Like I said, I didn't have a lot of emotional ups and downs, but he was always just there for me. So for my baby shower, I think it was April 2nd, a friend of mine was like, "Oh, Tammy, what do you have planned for your birthday?" And I'm like, I just got to Canada, not too long, but I was very deep in my lazy era. And it was a bit cold, so I really wasn't stepping out of the house much. I wasn't taking as much walks as I used to. So she calls and she says, "Oh, what do you have planned for your birthday?" And I'm like, "I'm just gonna eat and sleep and maybe watch a movie, just catch up with my series and all of that." And she's like, "Okay, if I don't have anything planned," she made a reservation at the restaurant for herself, her husband, myself, and my husband. So we could just go, get something to eat and just, enjoy the moment. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. So she gives me time, 7 p.m. and she says, "Oh, please try not to be late because because if you're late to the restaurant, they will charge extra, something like that, sha." And I'm like, so if somebody puts in this effort, I shouldn't actually be late. So I remember it was April 4th. I was talking to my older sister that my friend planned the dinner for me, and I didn't know what to wear. I didn't have clothes that really fit anymore. I was just very confused. Eventually I found something to wear. I had this white dress that was very stretchy, so it served the purpose. I just put on boots because I needed to be comfortable. I didn't want to wear heels or anything, and it was still a bit cold. So I did that. It's applied some makeup, wore my wig, and I was ready. I was ready before 7. My husband was even ready because the plan was that they were going to pick us up from their house and then we'll all just go together. So we're ready. I was just waiting. I remember talking to my older sister that, God, I'm so sleepy. This girl is late. It was past, I can't remember if it was 7 p.m. or 5 p.m. She said anyway. But it was past the time, and I'm like, hope it won't be an issue because we've never left the house at this time, and it was like a 15 minutes drive. So I remember calling my friend that, oh, babe, how far now? Like, oh, I messaged her rather. And she's like, oh, she's so sorry that she already called them to push the time forward. She had some emergency to take care of. I think maybe she was still in meetings at work or something. So I just called my older sister. We're just talking. I was talking about how tired I was and I wanted to sleep. Should I just sleep? But if I decided to sleep, my hair would be all messed up. I was just yarning rubbish. Anyway, my friend then says, oh, she's ready that her husband is gonna pick us up, then we'll pick her from the house so she can just, quickly prepare. And I'm like, okay, no wahala. So her husband comes wearing joggers and sweater. And I'm like, I thought people said it was fine dining, like they won't let us in. And he's like, oh, don't worry about that. When we get to the house to pick up his wife, he's just gonna wear his clothes. He didn't want to, wear his clothes and be driving around. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I remember struggling to enter the car because it was so hard to carry myself. Anyway, so we got to their house. It was like, oh, won't you guys come down? And I'm like, let me just wait in the car so that this girl can know that I mean business. Let her know so she can, hurry up basic. So her husband is like, no, just come out of the car. It's so uncomfortable. Just come out, sit down. It's cold even though. So let's just go inside, wait for her. It took a lot to. It was so bad that when I decided to eventually come down from the car, I told my husband, I'll just leave my bag so I won't be carrying load. So I left my bag in the car and then got down and then I opened the door and surprise! It was such a lovely thing to see. Like, I'm not one to be easily surprised, but I was very surprised. I didn't expect it. My friends were there, and then the best part of it was like one of my favorite girls flew in from the US. I wasn't even expecting. And the funny thing is, we spoke that day. We spoke in the morning. I didn't even know she was already in Canada. I didn't even pay attention to the environment. Like I said, I was living a very lazy life. I didn't pay attention to the environment. Like, babe, this isn't your house. How far? But obviously, even if it's not her house, like, she could be at a friend's place or maybe somewhere that I just didn't know. So I don't even think it was my place to be asking where she was. But it was very wonderful. It was lovely seeing her there. And I didn't even know how to react. Like, I saw her. It shocked me. It took me like 2-3 minutes to click that, oh, wait, is this you? I hadn't seen her in how many years? 20, I think it was like 4 or 5 years. It was like 4 5. I hadn't seen her in like 5 years, so I was very excited to see her. Although maybe I didn't act too excited, but like I said, I was in shock. I didn't really know how to express my excitement. So we had fun at the baby shower. It was a very intimate one. I loved it. Not a crowd, and that's just me. I'm not a crowd person, so I really loved it. So I really enjoyed being pregnant. Being pregnant, walking around, and people are like, oh, how does it feel? You're pregnant, right? How many weeks? People just asking questions like that. The Nigerian in me will not want to answer you. Like, what do you mean? What's your business with how many weeks I'm pregnant? There you go. But I was just very excited when people ask. I'm like, oh, I'm so weeks. I'm so weeks. I enjoy being pregnant, but in the final weeks, God, I was so frustrated and tired. Like, when would this end? Like, my baby should come out already. It was towards the end. I got tired. I got tired. I started counting the days, guys, till the very, very final day. I remember, I think a week or 2 before the baby shower, her husband, they were like, oh, we should all hang out. So it was myself, my husband, her husband, some other friends of ours, and then we just went out. We went bowling. Please ask me why a heavily pregnant person whose belly is bigger than the bowling ball decided to go bowling. The good thing was I did not carry last. I still tried my best. How did I bowl? Basically squatted actually, and just rolled the bowling ball with like my 2 hands. And I mean, somewhere hit, somewhere it missed, but it was so much fun. Then we went for drinks. It was very relaxing. It was a wonderful time out, surprisingly, because it took a lot for me to come out that day. What the nesting looked like for me, like I said, I'm an over preparer. Once I landed in Canada, I updated my Amazon, decided to make my baby registry. So I started ordering things. I think it was like a week after I landed. Started ordering a bunch of things. My friends, family, they also supported by purchasing some of the things in the registry. So I was already, getting ready for the whole process. So when I had a significant amount of clothes, I did the washing, the ironing. I mean, I didn't really have a lot to do. I stopped working in April, which was like a month before I gave birth. I had the time on my hands, so I was able to do that. We then set up every other thing that was important. Crib, we set up the car seats, we set up the stroller. We did everything. We did everything we needed to do. Nesting was wonderful for me. It was like, it just gave me something to do. It gave me purpose, I guess, in that moment. So guys, the birth story. When I found out I was pregnant, I was looking forward to the birth. Like I wanted to experience it. I remember I have a friend that gave birth earlier that year, and I remember asking her, "Oh, how was the experience?" She told me her story. So when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, "Oh God, I can't wait to experience like labor, see how it feels to push." I started thinking about things like, "Oh, do I want an epidural?" All these kind of things, all these things early enough. So imagine me getting. Imagine it gets into the final months and I did not experience labor. I mean, was it a relief? I don't know I wouldn't call it a relief. It was more like it was disappointing for me. I didn't experience labor. I didn't experience that pain basically. And for me, I feel like it's an experience I really wanted to go through, and I just couldn't. So life happened, I guess. What happened? Why didn't I experience labor? My due date was, I think, May 17th, and and I was already looking forward to it. Like, this is the week where I get to give birth. And the week prior to that, I remember going to see my OB, and she's like, okay, she checks. Oh, she does that very uncomfortable thing where they practically put their finger in you to check how far you are dilated. And she's like, you're 1 centimeter, blah blah blah. 2 weeks before that, I was 1 centimeter. The week before, I was still 1 centimeter. A few days before May 17th, I was still 1 centimeter. And then she says, oh, you might have to get induced and blah blah blah. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. How do we go about it? So we had the whole conversation, blah 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 blah. May 17th came and went. I did not give birth that day. I did not give birth on the May 17th, which was my expected due date. And I think I told him I wanted to get induced. I told him I wanted to get induced and all of that. She said she was going to make arrangement, but apparently she made arrangement basically because she said that if my baby doesn't come before like 42nd week, the 42nd week, it was like there was a high risk of stillbirth. And I'm like, God forbid. The next week, I was very concerned because you've already put that kind of fear in my heart now. You're telling me, you're talking to me about stillbirth. After these 10 months of pregnancy, God forbid. I remember going to myself, my husband, my mom went to the hospital. The week after, I think it was a Monday. On Monday, I was supposed to give birth on Thursday, yeah? Right? On Monday, I went to the hospital. I practically lied because I was very tired of being pregnant at that point in time. And then I lied that, I was feeling some pains. I wasn't feeling the baby moving, lies. So they said, okay. They checked me, everything was fine and all of that. Oh no, I said I was feeling the baby move less. So they checked me, they said everything was fine, blah blah blah. That they'll check on when they can get me induced. I think they now said maybe they were gonna do it on a Wednesday or something. And I'm like, these guys, I want to give birth. I'm tired. Like, I remember then, like, that week was very hard for me. When I'm taking my bath, I'll literally cry in the shower because I was so tired. I was so tired of being pregnant. Tuesday, nothing. No labor, nothing. And then by Wednesday, I just told my husband that, guys, if nothing still, I told my husband, I told my mom that, okay, let's go to the hospital on Thursday. We had our hospital bag in the car already. So like, I got dressed. I remember wearing my green dress, slippers. I had my cornrows done because I'm like, I don't want to look like a mad person after I give birth. And I wasn't going to wear a wig. And I wasn't going to braid, so I had my cornrows done. Then we go to the hospital that day. My OB booked me for an ultrasound, just to check on the baby. So I remember we went to the hospital. We went for the ultrasound, And then I told them I wasn't really feeling a lot of movement. So when they did the ultrasound, they found out like, okay, there were less movements actually. So they told me to go to the hospital where I was going to give. I think that's one thing I didn't like about Canada. Like, the hospital I had the ultrasound is not that far from me, but where I had to give it was like 20 minutes drive thereabouts. They told us to get to the hospital and tell them blah 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 blah. So we get to the hospital, we tell them, oh, they told us to come here, blah blah blah. And then they're like, okay, they put me in a room, they checked me, they connected me to some machine that was checking like baby heartbeat and everything, checking if I was having contractions and all. Guys, no contraction, nothing. In fact, I was still 1 centimeter dilated. And I was still like 1 centimeter at that point in time. So they were checking me, checking the baby's heartbeat. Then they said they were not, I think something was wrong with the heartbeat basically. Like, I think baby was very weak or something. It was very weak or something. I can't remember the exact term they used anyway. So they said, okay, I should just stay. They were monitoring me. So it was like 4 p.m. thereabouts. So they were checking. I was just in the room with my mom and my husband. They told us that, oh, we could get something to eat if we had not eaten. So my mom, I remember my mom and my husband, what's their own business? Then they were eating. I was all like recording them, like, see these people, I'm the one pregnant, I'm the one that they tied to the machine. Sorry for just eating your food. Anyway, I ate too, let me not lie. But so they checked me and everything. After a while, they're like, okay, they have to induce me. Apparently, the reason they did not induce me initially was because they like to keep specific number of beds for people that they have to induce for emergencies. So I was actually booked for the next day to get induced, since it wasn't an emergency. But now it was an emergency, so they had to get me induced. So they did that. They took me to waiting room. Basically, I was lying down. They got me like change of clothes, and then they were just monitoring. They had already induced me. I was just waiting. We're all waiting to see, waiting for contraction to kick in. My husband went to drop my mom at home because, it was getting very late. Then he came back, and then my OB comes in and she tells me, oh, Temi, I know you've been saying this for the longest time that you didn't want to have a cesarean. I didn't want to go through CS. But it looks like that's what we have to do now. We're concerned about the baby. And like, I'm sure she could see my face literally drop. Like, what do you mean I have to do CS? I've been looking forward to labor, pushing and all of that pain. And I remember I just started crying, and I think it was then my husband walked in. He just got back, and I told him, and he was just trying to calm me down. And my OB, she was very, very nice lady. Because guys, every time I went for my appointment, I told them, oh, is everything going to be okay? I don't want to have a CS. I just want to have the regular push, push your baby out and all. So I cried. Then the CS doctor came with her assistant, and the lady was very nice too. She was like, she explained the whole process, that it's not going to be a difficult one, this. She just tried to calm me down. And what woman do I have a choice? I cannot risk my baby's life now. I said, yes, it's fine, let's proceed and everything. So they got me changed, wheeled me to the, should I call it labor room? I didn't have labor. And another reason why I had to do the CS was, even after I got induced, nothing was happening. There was no contraction. I wasn't even going into labor. My baby's heartbeat was still of concern to them. They wheeled me to the labor room. And then I remember, they told my husband to wait. He took me to the room itself. Then they sat me on the bed. Then they gave me something called the spinal. That thing was, it was very painful. I used to feel like I had high tolerance for pain. But when they inserted that thing in my spine, Jesus Christ, that thing was painful. I screamed. My husband was even telling me later, like days later, that, he heard me scream. I was very scared, like, what happened? I screamed, and then they gave me twice. Jesus, hey, it was horrible. It was horrible. So I got that. And then once they did that, they had to get my husband in, everything done quickly, because I think that basically numbed my body. So I wasn't feeling anything at that point. I think it was also so weird. Like, I could feel like from my neck, from like here up, I want to sneeze, but I can't sneeze because the sneeze is coming from down, but I'm not feeling it. It was so weird. My husband was just there holding my hands all through. I think they injected me by like 12 in the body. That was like 12:04 or 12:10, something like that, like a few minutes after 12. And like the whole birth, everything was done by like 12:30 something. So it was very fast. I mean, it makes me wonder, how long did it take to cut me and sew me back? But it was very fast. My husband said, like, I kept going into sleep, like I would sleep off, wake up because they said I should try not to sleep. So my husband was trying to give me a week, but he said I kept saying rubbish a lot of. I kept babbling a lot. Like to me, I was actually saying something, but he said I kept saying a lot of rubbish, like things that were not really, really making sense. But I was just turning. Anyway, so my baby was brought out. I felt it was like a tug, like a push in my belly. So I think at that was the moment where they put their hands in to bring out the baby. Then it was just like a tug. Yeah, I think that's the best thing to use to describe the feeling. And then they brought out my baby. And my husband's like, "Oh, Timmy, he's out." I was still very sleepy. So he tells me the baby is out, and I was just excited. Of course, I was still down because I couldn't move yet, and he had to go do what he had to do and all of that. Prior to then, I already told him to stay with the baby because I don't want to hear any story that touches the heart later. So they stitched me up, and then I started to feel my legs. The moment I started to feel again, I felt this cold. It was like a serious chill. My whole body, like I really vibrated, and I think I heard like that's quite normal for many people that go through CS. I don't know if it happens for people, regular vaginal delivery, so I don't know. But yeah, so I felt that I started to feel my body again. They helped me, they wheeled me to another room, to check my vitals, kept me there for a while, gave me my baby. So myself, my husband, my baby were just waiting there. Then they moved me to the room. Apparently they had already moved my luggage to that other room as well. So I stayed there. They put this thing on my legs, maybe to avoid swelling or something. Maybe they're like compression, whatever. But they put them on my legs. I was there. I slept well that night. I slept well that night. I don't even remember what happened that night. But I know at some point they had to take my baby to the NICU to, I think they said he was cold or something. So for like maybe an hour, so my husband was there with the baby and then came back later. Then we're just there, recovering and all of that. I mean, my baby, I had finally given birth, guys. Yeah, I was just there recovering. They disconnected the thing they connected to my bladder, basically for peeing. Told me to try to pee, try to get up. I had this very nice nurse that was assisting me, helping me to get back on my feet. She'll come, take me on a walk, we'll just walk around the floor and come back, just to make sure that I can do things myself. So I was able to pee regularly. Oh God, the bleeding, the pain whenever I tried to sit up was bad. It was very bad. But they got me drugs for that and all. Then the bleeding was horrible. I had to wait in the hospital to like the blood. I had a lot of blood clots. I think that's normal. So I had to wait till like it had reduced. Then and to make sure I was fine. Then we had to wait till my baby peed and pooped to make sure he wasn't dehydrated. They had to check him for jaundice. Is that how it's pronounced? But basically that thing. They had to check him for that. He was all good. So yeah, and that was it. we got discharged and we went home, and this is me speaking 1 year and a few weeks later. That was my pregnancy story. It's very personal because it's mine. One thing I wish I did experience was the labor, and I prayed to Christ to get to experience it. So just looking back, it was a wonderful experience for me. I'm glad I got to experience that. I'm glad I got to experience the CS as well. I hope I get to experience vaginal birth later. Thank you for watching and letting me share this personal chapter with you. Honestly, pregnancy and birth, it looks different for everyone. I just wanted to keep it real and speak from my own experiences. If you've been through something similar or something completely different, I would like to hear your story in the comment section. Let's create a space where we can support each other without judgment. Don't forget to like this video if you vibed with it, and subscribe if you haven't, and share this video with your friends. Love you guys and see you in the next one. Bye.